Ever been disappointed by an intriguing post with no updates or resolution? Think stories with updates and conclusions are a chef's kiss? Well, I'll be posting from r/best of Redditor updates. Hope you're ready because here is part 1. Story reposted by Raredont Stare. Status concluded. Original poster shamed shaming shamer. Originally posted in Bridezillas. Original post date, June 24th, 2019. Post title, Bridezilla tries to scam bridesmaids. Several years ago, a friend of mine asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. There were 6 of us plus the maid of honor, so 7 total. The bride had picked out her dress already, 1 for the maid of honor and 1 for the bridesmaids. The dress itself was lovely, but a bit expensive at $400 each since 2 of us were still in college and the rest had recently graduated. I was one of the 2 still in college, so money was super tight. Anyhow, the bride asked the maid of honor to coordinate with all of us for fittings and alterations and such as one of her duties. The maid of honor decided she would pay for all of the dresses on her credit card because she wanted the air miles, and we would pay her back directly. None of us minded, especially since she was going to let us pay her back in installments if we needed. I definitely needed. I was not able to go with everyone to pick up the dresses because of finals week and planned to go by myself the following weekend. No big deal. The maid of honor said she would pay for mine on the group trip, but to call her if there were any issues with the dress itself, and she would handle it. I get there, and the dress fits perfectly. The shop owner scoots off while I'm changing back into my street clothes, since she has another client coming in but confirms we're all set. As I'm walking out the door, another person working there yells out, "Hey, that will be $200. I was stunned and totally mortified. I apologized and explained how I thought the maid of honor had paid for it the weekend before. The shop owner comes running over to defuse the situation and confirm the dress was paid for already. I turned to walk out and suddenly realized she said $200 and not $400. Long story short, the dress was only $200. When I confronted the maid of honor about it, she spilled the beans. Apparently, the bride and maid of honor plotted together to charge us double to help pay for the bride's dress. I let the rest of the bridesmaids know, and 4 of us dropped out of the wedding immediately. Update, July 13th, 2019. These are chat transcripts. Friend who posted the story to Reddit gets update from bridesmaid and shares it on Reddit. I guess I half expected it to leak to the other shaming groups, but I was unprepared for it to be blasted everywhere and come full circle. I do not even know where to begin. If I write it all out, will you share anonymously like the last time? The wedding took place several years ago, almost a full 10 now, and I had not spoken to the bride and maid of honor since. The only other people I knew were the 3 other bridesmaids that dropped out with me. The 2 other bridesmaids were cousins of the bride, and they agreed to continue on as a favor to their mom, the bride's aunt, to avoid family drama. More on them in a bit. Fast forward to now. I got an email from the maid of honor who wanted to apologize again. She was not making excuses for her behavior. On the contrary, she acknowledged her wrongdoing and said she still felt incapable of saying no to the bride, her friend. She was pretty disgusted with herself and relieved when I confronted her. To her credit, she said as much back then. They had been friends forever, and it took her a really long time to see behind the mask and how toxic the friendship had always been and the part she played in it. For what it is worth, I believe her. A quick flashback, I had not yet paid for the dress when the truth came out, so I just turned it over to the maid of honor. The 3 other bridesmaids got their money back immediately without any hassle. The maid of honor apologized like crazy at the time to all of us, but we just wrote her, the bride, and the whole situation off. None of us ever heard from the bride. No apologies, no nothing. Turns out, the bride never reimbursed the maid of honor for anything. Initially, the bride said she would repay her, but after the wedding, everything changed. She said if the maid of honor had not spilled the beans, she would not be out all the money, and it is the price paid for being a disloyal friend. And the maid of honor was not just out the $200 times 6 bridesmaids' dresses. The bride had also convinced the maid of honor to charge the wedding dress because it would be easier for the bride to pay off the balance at the end. When the maid of honor threatened to take the bride to court, the bride said her cousins, the 2 bridesmaids, would say the maid of honor came up with the whole scheme and have her arrested for fraud. She found out years later the cousins never agreed to such a thing and would have been willing to go to court and say the exact opposite. They were disgusted by the whole situation too and wanted to drop out, but their mother, the bride's aunt, pushed them to keep appearances up for the family. They even told the maid of honor the replacement bridesmaids paid the bride $200 cash for each dress, none of which made it to the maid of honor. I almost forgot the funny part. The bride told her future husband the four of us dropped out because we were jealous of her. So her whole family plus the maid of honor knew the truth, but not the future husband, nor anyone in his family had any clue. And there was also much more behind the scenes the maid of honor was privy to that we did not see and would not anyway after we dropped out. Apparently, the bride manipulated her entire family into paying for most of the wedding and the honeymoon. The dresses were supposed to be her one and only responsibility, and likewise, the future husband was responsible for the suits. That is not what she had told us at the time, and even bragged her future husband was paying for everything. The bride also tried to manipulate her future in-laws into buying her a new car as a wedding present. They did not, and in revenge, she interrupted the mother and son dance just moments after it started. She looked at the maid of honor and said, "Watch this," and then waltzed out onto the floor and basically shoved her new mother-in-law out of the way. She also accused the reception waitstaff of trying to ruin the photos by getting in the way of the photographer as they were serving the guests. Even after the photographer confirmed they were not in any of the shots, she still insisted they would have to personally reimburse her, even though she never paid for anything in the first place. Oh, it gets worse. At the brunch the morning after, the maid of honor said the bride gave a short toast to herself and did not thank anyone and barely acknowledged her new husband. As for the maid of honor, she says she tried to collect the money she was owed, but eventually accepted it was gone and cut off all ties. Even still, the bride would reach out every couple of months to ask if she was done being such a bitch yet. When the maid of honor blocked her number, the bride spread rumors about the maid of honor and her fiancé at the time, now husband, saying that he was an illegal, marrying her only for the green card, and claimed they used government assistance to pay for the wedding. Meanwhile, he already had become an American citizen long before they met and was and is a ridiculously successful software engineer who paid for the entire wedding himself and took not only his immediate family but hers too to Hawaii for the honeymoon. The bride was just jealous the maid of honor had everything she wanted. As for the bride, she is on divorce number 2 already and estranged from her entire family because they got tired of her manipulating and using them too. I think that is everything she shared with me. I will reach out if I remember anything else. Please, make sure my name is covered. These Bridezilla stories get me every time. Scamming your friends and family? What a way to start married life with a wedding built on distrust. And then, to not even thank anyone, that is not surprising at all. Thanks for joining me today. I am glad we got to enjoy this ride together. Comment if you have any suggestions, similar experiences, takes, or stories on this situation. Subscribe and like if you're interested and looking forward to our next updated story.